This is the Reviewing Network Live, a weekly stream of consciousness recording session where I sit back with you folks out there, talk about some of the big news stories from the past week, and some other things I found that might be of amusement to you out there. I think you might get a kick out of it. Now, these are more like audio podcasts and are much longer than my usual videos and are also, for the most part, unedited and will contain some foul language. So, if you're easily offended by that, I advise you to maybe step back a bit, maybe go somewhere else. But hey, if you're up to the challenge, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks. And for the 48th time ever, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Reviewing Network Live. And before we get going, let me just double check here. Okay, we're good. No tragic deaths. Nothing has happened in the world of politics. Nobody's gotten shot. Nobody has dropped out. Nobody has been, I don't know, attacked by a wildebeest or something. I don't know. I just know the last 2 weeks, something has happened where we have to briefly mention the world of politics. Like I've said before, I don't like to talk about, but nothing happened, so we are good to go. So, let's talk about some stuff we want to talk about, because Comic-Con was just this weekend in San Diego. A lot of big stories dropped, especially last night. We'll get to that. Marvel's making a lot of headlines this weekend, for both the good and some people might think the bad. What do I think? Well, we'll get to that a little bit later on here. But we have a lot of stories to get to, a couple of updates from last week's stories, but some humorous updates, I should mention, but before we do any of that, of course, it's time to delve into the weekend box office, which that's what we usually start off with, the top 5, and I think that the number 1 movie is pretty much a given of what you think it's going to be, but let's go ahead and get to it. Nothing really spectacular between 2 and 5. Number 5 this week was Long Legs, which dropped down a spot from 4 to 5, $6.7 million, $6.8 million, excuse me. 43.5% drop off, $58.6 million after 3 weeks. Worldwide gross is up to $66.7 million. I think this weekend it did cross it did become Neon's most successful film in general. I remember seeing an article somewhere where I think this weekend it did confirm that Neon was the highest grossing release that Long Legs was the highest grossing release that Neon's officially put out. And yeah, it's right here in Deadline Hollywood, passing Parasite to become Neon's highest grossing movie ever. So yeah, not really much of a surprise. Only $5 million off of what Parasite made, but this was to be expected. Nothing really much of a shocker there. So anyway, let's get to number 4. Inside Out 2 still hanging in there, dropping only 35% from last week. $8.3 million, bringing its 7-week total now up to $613.4 million. The budget is the worldwide release. The worldwide numbers are $1.5 billion at this point. Massive hit. Speaking of massive hits, Despicable Me 4. That's at number 3, despite how I feel about the movie. Despicable Me 4 brought in another $14.2 million, only dropping 42% from last week, bringing its 4-week gross domestically to $290.9 million. Worldwide, it's up to $677.6 million worldwide. So massive hit, despite what I have to say about the movie. Let me put it this way: the Minions were on during the Paris opening ceremonies for the Olympic Games, because the Olympics are happening as of this week. It started on Friday, and yeah, let's just say that when the Minions showed up on the Olympic ceremonies, they had more funny moments in that than they did in this movie, and that was only like almost 2-minute segment with the Minions on NBC. Still much funnier than anything in Despicable Me 4, at least from this person's humble opinion. But I digress. Let's go ahead and move on to number 2, the number 1 movie from last week, which, considering what's opening at number 1, not really much of a shocker that it dropped off as it did. Twisters, which brought in $35.3 million this weekend, dropping 56% from last weekend, which is not that bad of a drop-off. After 2 weeks, it's about $154.9 million, bringing its worldwide gross up to $221 million. So it's already made back its budget, and yeah, I'm not really gonna go. I'm still not interested in checking this one out, but apparently I'm alone on that one because a lot of people have gone to see it. It's going to surpass the original Twister, which I think is at $180 million in, like, came out in 1996. So it's going to make that money back and then some. And Twisters 3 is going to come. I just know they're going to announce it sooner rather than later. But with that said, speaking of threequels, let's get to the number one movie. And why did I say threequels? Because actually, I'm looking at this list here, and there's a completely different movie at number one. Kevin Costner, hey, your movie Horizon: An American Saga, apparently everybody found it this weekend. I mean, this movie rose up to $205 million on its opening weekend. So, you know what? Congrats, Kevin Costner. You're finally going to get to make those movies that you've been wanting to make. You got the funding for Chapter 4, and why am I even bothering going on with this joke? I'm sorry. Horizon actually is nowhere to be found in this in this list on Box Office Mojo. So yeah, that should pretty much tell you everything you know about that one. But come on, the number one movie is of course Deadpool and Wolverine, and like I said, $205 million. The movie cost $200 million to make. Instant profit from here on forward. Worldwide, it's up to $438.3 million in just its first 3 days of release. And not really much of a shocker whatsoever. It had a brilliant marketing campaign, had a great idea, following up on two great movies for the Deadpool series, introducing Deadpool to the MCU, and not just him, but Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and the X-Men. I mean, of course this movie was going to make as much money as it did. I mean, it's not that much of a shocker whatsoever. And it's got pretty much the rest of August to itself. I don't think there's going to be another big new release coming for this until early September when we get to Beetlejuice, which will probably be another massive hit. But I'm looking at the release schedule going forward here. And next week we've got M. Night Shyamalan's movie Trap and also Harold and the Purple Crayon. Both of those, I don't see either one of them doing all that well. Borderlands, Eli Roth's film, comes out on the 9th. It ends with us with Blake Lively, who coincidentally was in Deadpool and Wolverine as Lady Deadpool. Let's see. Alien Romulus will probably be the next thing that comes close to it. It's a big new release. The trailers are already out there. There's been a lot of high buzz for it, so maybe that'll be the next one that can compete with Deadpool and Wolverine. But I think it's got the rest of the month to itself, honestly, because I'm looking at the list here. There's not that many movies that... These movies could become hits, but to top, I think, Deadpool and Wolverine, I think you're going to really need to have something big for the month of August in general. And I don't think there's anything really that big there to combat it for a long time. And up until we get to Alien Romulus, which I think is going to be the only one that's going to be really close to doing any big business there. But like I said, the next big thing that I think is going to make a ton of money will be Beetlejuice, which comes out on September the 6th. And really, honestly, that should not be a shocker whatsoever. But Deadpool and Wolverine not only was the number one movie, but it broke a number of different records, as Deadline Hollywood has put the list together here. Pretty much similar to what happened with Barbie the year before. I mean, Barbie broke a lot of records when that came out, but Deadpool and Wolverine, these are the records that it's broken. Highest R-rated opening of all time, both worldwide and domestic, at $438.3 million worldwide and $205 million domestically. It beat the previous record holder, which was Deadpool, which had $264 worldwide and $132 million domestically. It's the biggest global opening since Avatar: The Way of Water, $439 million in like-for-like markets at current rates. It surpassed the 2019 Lion King movie for the highest July opening weekend of all time at the domestic box office. Marvel's Cinematic Universe at 34 titles and $30 billion is now the highest-grossing film franchise of all time. These are kind of records that are not really that shocking whatsoever. The 34th consecutive MCU release to debut number one at the domestic box office, highest domestic opening weekend of 2024, and highest since Spider-Man No Way Home, which was the topper at $260 million. The number 8 highest opening domestic weekend of all time. The number 5 highest superhero opening weekend of all time, behind Avengers Endgame, No Way Home, Infinity War, and the Avengers. Number 2 highest opening weekend for a third installment of all time, only behind Avengers Endgame. As of the day that this was posted, Walt Disney is responsible for 16 of the top 20 opening domestic weekends of all time, with the MCU responsible for 11 of the top 20. At $233 million internationally, D&W is the highest opening weekend ever for a U.S. R-rated release, surpassing Joker's $147 million on a like-for-like basis at current rates. Highest opening weekend abroad since Avatar: The Way of Water, surpassing Inside Out 2 at $223 million. Highest opening weekend in 2024 in Germany, UK, Australia, and Japan, as well as many smaller markets. And as it says, to date this year, Walt Disney has released the #1 title of May, which was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, June, Inside Out 2, and now July, Deadpool and Wolverine. So, the Mouse House is back, man. The Mouse House is indeed back, and, you know, this is the last big one they've got until we get to Moana 2 in November, which I'm still questioning how big that's going to be, considering the specifications of how that movie is based off of. Like, it was originally a TV series, but it's now being chopped down into the official sequel. Is it going to be enough to carry the load? We really won't know for certain until we see more from it. I think we're going to get a trailer for it pretty soon, considering that we only got that one trailer back in, was it May or June? I think it was around. It might have been June, because Inside Out 2 was probably where you would have seen it on. But we'll see what happens. But right now, Disney is rolling the money again, and nobody is really that shocked whatsoever. But, so with that said, we got a comic book movie at the top of the box office, and we've got a lot of comic-based news in general. At San Diego Comic-Con was this weekend, and Marvel was definitely at the forefront of the biggest news of the week. So, of course, Marvel had their big panel last night, and, you know, they showed off a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple of years, and one of the first things they showed off was footage from Captain America Brave New World, which had a trailer come out a couple weeks ago, and if you saw Deadpool and Wolverine, chances are you saw the trailer before we saw Deadpool and Wolverine. But at the panel, they had a lot of different things. They had a lot of the cast there: Anthony Mackie, Tim Blake Nelson, Danny Ramirez, Giancarlo Esposito, who we found out is playing the Sidewinder. Harrison Ford actually made it onto the stage, which is very rare for him to show up in here. And they show that Ford is going to turn into the Red Hulk, and he's going to do it during a I guess a presser at the White House, because he's played the president in this, which sounds like it could be pretty badass in general, and I'm really curious to see how that pans out. But Ford was there, giving the crowd exactly what they wanted, mimicking the Hulk's mighty roar, and I don't know if it's actually on here. I think I have to go. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I found it. So this is a little bit of it. This is from Twitter. This was all over Twitter, but this one comes from @DiscussingFilm. Of course, you got Kevin Feige there. Okay, so he doesn't do the roar in this video, but he just does the mannerisms, like he does do the mannerisms, mimicking the roar and all that. But they talk about the movie. They talked also about they showed the footage, which one of the big things is that they address the events of Eternals. You know, they basically say that, hey, there's been this creature that's been literally sitting on the Earth for the last 3 years, and we're not going to do shit about it. I was actually really shocked that Deadpool and Wolverine didn't make a joke about it per se, but they confirm in here that they are going to address those events and eventually call the world leaders of the world, and it's called the Celestial Island Summit, and basically say that, hey, we're going to tear this fucking thing down. But as they say, it says here on Variety's page, it turns out adamantium has been discovered in the ruins where a dead celestial appeared in the ocean, and is now the most valuable element on the planet. So they're introducing adamantium into the MCU, according to this movie, which I kind of thought it was already in there with Captain America: The First Avenger, but it's been a while since I've seen it though. But Ross is recruiting Sam Wilson / Captain America to build a new Avengers team, but things don't go according to plan. By far, the biggest reveal of the footage was confirmation that Ford's President Ross will be ditching the Resolute Death to become the Red Hulk. The previous trailer confirmed the Red Hulk's appearance in the movie, but now Marvel fans know for sure that Ross is the man behind the muscles. Just when I think my nerdy life couldn't get more complete, I hear Harrison Ford say adamantium, he said at the end of the panel. The first trailer released on July 12th featured an attack at the White House and an assassination attempt on Ross. In the movie coincidence, there was a real-life attempt to assassinate former President Donald Trump the next day. Mackie takes the mantle over from Chris Evans, who starred in the previous 3 Captain America movies and 4 Avengers movies. At the end of Endgame, Steve said his farewell to his fellow superheroes and goes back in time to spend a new life with his beloved Peggy Carter. He gives his vibranium shield to Sam, who vows to do right by the patriotic hero. So, yeah, so there's some stuff there. Unfortunately, I can't find the actual footage from the clips that they showed there, which I'm pretty sure it's out there in general. But that was one of the first big ones they addressed. Thunderbolts. I think there was also a panel there too. Let me see if there was anything specific that was really important there. I don't think there was. Just some footage basically being announced. Let me see. Nothing too crazy in particular that I could address here, but they did bring out like the entire cast for that movie, so I'm interested to see how that one's going to pan out too. But the ones we really want to delve into here is Fantastic Four. They showed off the first little bit of the Fantastic Four movie. They actually showed the teaser trailer for it, and we got a title for it, The Fantastic Four First Steps. And let me see if I doubt the trailer is still online at this point, but we can always look and see. Okay, so I did find the trailer on here, but I'm guaranteeing that by the time this gets up, someone at Disney will take it down. But we can go ahead and show off a little bit here. But some of the things that I'm looking at right now, one of the things that's very interesting about this particular trailer that I see here is that it looks like a lot of the film is shot in 4:3. Like it's like I'm looking at a scene right now with Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, and it looks like it's a period piece 60s movie, which looks like it's a nice change of pace for the MCU in general. And I think it's a really cool idea. They've got Matt Shankman, who is the main director on WandaVision, to direct this movie. But we also have, of course, not only with Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, we have Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, and Ebon Moss-Baccarat from The Bear playing the Thing. And they're showing a little bit here of Vanessa Kirby, and it's just showing like some really cool imagery of this retro futuristic city. This movie has this really cool looking. This trailer actually has this really cool stylistic view of it. They have like a parody of the dating game called Let's Make a Match, and they show like the contestants, and you can tell one of them is the human version of the Thing, and it's Ebon Moss-Baccarat, because like these 2 other guys are just regular, like normal sized guys, normal thin like guys. And then you see this big behemoth at the end of the thing, and it's supposed to be Ebon Moss-Baccarat. But if this trailer is as good if this movie is as good as the trailers are letting on, this could be something really, really impressive to look at. But keep in mind, this film also hasn't begun shooting yet. This film actually starts shooting on Tuesday, I think they said. But so I'm looking at it here. I want to get to the part at the end because we get our first glimpse of Galactus, and I gotta tell you right now, Galactus looks fucking terrifying in this little clip here. And yeah, it's just a little clip at the end of the trailer, but man, that the fact that he's not a cloud anymore is one thing, but this guy looks very freaking intimidating. Let me see if I can get past it. They're about to show the title on this trailer here, and it is The Fantastic Four First Steps. And then here comes Galactus. I'll actually play a little bit here. Yeah. They have a shot of somebody looking out of the window, like looking into the city, and all of a sudden you see Galactus coming down. And, like, just the eyes alone are absolutely terrifying on this thing. And, like, yeah, it really looks like it could be something pretty good. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with the Fantastic Four First Steps. And the Fantastic Four are going to be in the next Avengers films, too, which that was the big story of the whole weekend, of course. And that was the big story of the presentation, because not only did we get the confirmation that the Russo brothers would be directing the Avengers movies, the new Avengers films, we eventually got the gist of what the titles were going to be. One was going to be called Avengers: Secret Wars. We kind of already knew that. That's going to be the second film. The first film, however, is where it gets really juicy because we have the title was revealed as Avengers: Doomsday. So it is essentially wiping out Kang from the plan altogether because Jonathan Majors decided to be a fucking idiot. And but if that wasn't enough, we have got the reveal of who is going to play Doctor Doom. And let's just say that the reception has been very polarizing, has been very mixed in general, but we actually have the full footage from, this is from comicbook.com that put this out on YouTube, and it's actually the presentation itself, and here they go revealing the title, and you see like these people in cloaks walking up to the front of the thing, and you've got the Russo brothers there along with Kevin Feige. One day I'd like to be in Hall H to see something like that. I mean, you see the people with the phones up there looking like that this is indeed a big event. Is that a big event every time that something like this happens? And it's just like, I want to be there for that moment. But you'll notice as soon as you see is at the end, these guys are wearing these brown cloaks and everything. But then you see a guy wearing a green cloak, and you wonder, who is that supposed to be? Like, who is that supposed to end up being? Is who's the big celebrity guest? And nobody really is certain that it is indeed Doctor Doom. The guy who's going to play Doctor Doom at first, but it's a 2-minute and 40-second video. See if this actually gets it sooner rather than later. But let's see.
Now, listen. If we're going to bring Victor Von Doom to the screen, and he is one of the more complex characters in all of comics, right, Kevin? I mean, this is potentially one of the more entertaining characters in all of fiction. If we're going to do this, if we're going to bring him to movie theaters worldwide, then I think we're going to need the greatest actor in the world to play that character.
Wow. I mean, talk about high boasting of this. I mean, at that point, you think anybody's going to play him. Like, when they say the greatest actor in the world, my first thought is Denzel Washington, because, of course, he is the greatest actor in the world. But him, who else? I know there's other people, too. Like I would have. In fact, I would have loved it if they threw a complete curveball and maybe they said just say the greatest actor in the world, who's actually an actress. Meryl Streep is going to play Doctor Doom. It would have been such a great troll move, but it would have been fun to see that. But that's not what they do here. They decided they hyped him up, and yeah, I think the results speak for themselves. Let's see if we can get closer to the actual reveal of him.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as proof of the unimaginable possibilities in the Marvel multi-universe, we give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom. Robert Downey.
I think I heard somebody actually say Robert Downey. Let me see if I can hear that again.
Von Doom. Robert Downey.
I think somebody actually I think for some reason I think that's what I heard, but I pretty much already told you who it's going to be, but because you already know at this point who it's going to be, but it's funny because Devin Faraci on a Slash Film actually predicted this would probably happen a month ago, said that there was a possibility this would happen, and then I guess he thought it fell apart, but yeah, I think we all know who it's going to be at this point. But I mean, yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is back in the MCU. However, he's not playing Iron Man. He's playing Doctor Doom. And when I first heard the news, I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. has proven time and time again that he is indeed a really good actor. And he just won there's a reason why he won the Oscar for Oppenheimer. I mean, there's a reason why he's had this great career renaissance. And then I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was actually kind of cool. But then you go online, and the reactions were pretty much the equivalent to this.
They're about to announce the news, Dr. Doom. The news, Dr. Doom, is Robert Downey Jr. Fuck!
Who's Dr. Doom?
What?
I'm just kidding. You're fucking with you. Come on.
Yeah, pretty much that reaction alone. But I've never seen the full version of this. So I've always seen the part where it's revealed it's Robert Downey Jr. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at the rest of this video.
New mask. Same task. What did I tell you? I like playing complicated characters. Wow. Love you. Wow. All right. Like Robert.
I mean, just the love from those people how can you not love a guy like Robert Downey Jr., especially after the career he's had? So the full story here comes from the Hollywood Reporter. Let me see if I can get to the stuff that you don't already know already. Robert Downey Jr. is set to return. I'm reading this from the Hollywood Reporter, by the way. Robert Downey Jr. is set to return to the film franchise as classic Fantastic Four villain Dr. Doom for the newly titled Avengers Doomsday, due out in May 2026, and Avengers Secret War in May 2027. Downey has become one of the biggest movie stars in the world after launching the Marvel Cinematic Universe with 2008's Iron Man. In fact, before I even show you that, the local news is actually doing a story on this right now. Let me see if I can let it play here. Give me 1 second.
$5 million. It's easily this year's biggest debut and the biggest debut ever for an R-rated movie. And speaking of Marvel, a big surprise at Comic-Con, actor Robert Downey Jr. will return to the franchise, not for his iconic portrayal of Iron Man, but as a new character. Downey Jr. will appear as the villain Dr. Doom in upcoming films.
I love how it says upcoming films. They literally just showed the titles while they were reading that story. Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. And she's just like, upcoming films. And yeah, I just thought that was kind of amusing. That was not planned in any way, shape, or form. I just saw that as I was about to read the story here. But his work has propelled the MCU to become the highest-grossing film franchise of all time. Downey retired from the role of Tony Stark Iron Man with 2019's Avengers Endgame, which his character died saving the universe. It's been a challenge for Marvel to find a protagonist to replace the large hole left by Downey, giving Saturday's announcement all the more meaning. Downey was revealed in an almost religious ceremony as about 24 olive-robed men with metal, Dr. Doom-like masks walked on stage. And they mentioned the stuff that they said in the video there. Is there anything else here that's notable? The news marks a creative makeover for the newly titled Avengers Doomsday, which will come before Secret Wars and serve as Avengers 5. We talk about Jonathan Majors, so there's nothing really that new else to talk about in terms of that, but a lot of people don't like the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back for this, mostly because, he's Iron Man. Everyone knows him as Iron Man, and this just feels like, and everyone's like, oh, Marvel's desperate right now, but first of all, do people not realize that Robert Downey Jr. is a freaking great actor, man? There's a reason why, like I said, there's a reason why he won an Oscar this year. And two, we're still in the multiverse saga, so this is probably going to be a Tony Stark variant that turns into Victor Von Doom. And some people might not like that per se, but I don't know. I have my questions about it too. In fact, when even that first story came out, I was just like, as Von Doom? It just seems like a really odd thing going on here, but listen, I'm not going to be one of those people that badmouths it. In fact, I'm going to be one of those people that's going to remain cautiously optimistic, because you know what? The Russo brothers are back. They made the best Avengers movies. They made the best Captain America movies. They got Robert Downey Jr. playing back in this. Maybe not playing Iron Man, but you know what? Let's see what he can do. I would not be surprised if 3 years from now we look at this the same way that we looked at Ben Affleck and Batman, or Michael Keaton as Batman, and everyone was just like, we don't know about this, and then a couple years later, they end up being the best things about those movies. Like, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm going to say 3 years from now, we're probably going to talk about how good Robert Downey Jr. was as Dr. Doom. Will it actually I'm hoping that it turns out that way. I'm hoping that this doesn't turn into a freezing cold take, but I'm willing to say that Robert Downey Jr. will probably do a badass job as Dr. Doom. I think a lot of people are just bad-mouthing Marvel because it's the fun thing to do. Because how dare Marvel try to do this? Meanwhile, the Marvel movies are still a million times better than anything coming out of the Zack Snyder's verse at DC. But yeah. So me personally, I was just excited too. But when I saw everybody snapping and losing their minds, I had to make that video about it's from the clip from Ted 2, where it's the clip from Ted 2 where they're looking for Ted and the guy's just like, they're about to announce the new Superman, and they say the new Superman is Jonah Hill, and Mark Wahlberg goes fuck, and like I just had to do that, man. That was just right for the taking, and I took that chance on it. So yeah, Marvel made a lot of news this weekend, both the good and maybe both the bad for some people, but they were not the only big news story at Comic-Con, of course. Let's talk about what's going on in the world of Star Trek. So, of course, there was a lot of big news coming out of Comic-Con, and there was a lot of news about the Star Trek universe. Paramount Plus has had a lot of Star Trek movies and shows in development for the last couple of years, and they had a lot of stuff that they went ahead and talked about this coming show, including the final season of Star Trek Lower Decks. There was also some interesting bits of news. I was actually kind of surprised they haven't done this sooner rather than later, but there's a Star Trek stage musical reportedly being talked about. And I've got the story here from Deadline Hollywood, where it says, one of the beans spilled at the Paramount Plus Comic-Con panel by executive producer Akiva Goldsman was the possibility of a Star Trek stage musical. In regards to what part of the universe would get stage stoppers, that wasn't really detailed. However, the stage musical was likely centered around the streaming series Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which actually did a musical episode after Substance Rhapsody, which is a really, really good episode of a really good show. Alex Kurtzman and Goldsmith were asked by a fan if there was any more musical episodes a la Substance Rhapsody, which reps the sci-fi franchise's first ever music-fueled episode. Goldman answered, we're in the very stages of figuring out whether we can bring a version of that to the stage. Rebecca Romaine, who was also on today's panel, explained, Akiva, I can't believe you just said that. In Substance Rhapsody, an accident with an experimental quantum probability field causes everyone in USS Enterprise to break into song, but the real danger is that the field is expanding and beginning to impact other ships alike, allies and enemies alike. And I think that honestly is a real fun idea to try to take this into the world of it's amazing that they haven't done that. Honestly, let's go into let's expand the world there. Let's do a musical version of Star Trek. I really do think that something like that could actually work out, and I would be really curious to see how that actually transpires here. We also got our first look at Star Trek Section 31, which is the spin-off series, the spin-off movie for the character Michelle Yeoh plays, Emperor Philippa Georgiou. And she was in the first season of Star Trek Discovery, and this movie is, they describe it here, she was a tyrant who murdered her own people by the millions, and when someone calls her a bad bitch, she just smiles and enjoys the attention. I'm watching the trailer for this, and it looks very much like it feels like Star Trek's equivalent to something like Suicide Squad, like they're trying to create their own Suicide Squad in a way. And that could work either way. If we're getting the James Gunn Suicide Squad, maybe it can work. But if it's more like the David Ayer Suicide Squad, the Snyderverse one, chances are that is going to be a lot more questionable than good. But some other things announced. Star Trek Starfleet Academy's adding Tig Notaro, Robert Ricardo, Oded Fair, and Mary Weissman to the cast. That show has Holly Hunter attached to it. But then there's also the news of a Star Trek live-action comedy series. So yeah, they did an adult animated series for Star Trek, and now they're expanding into the world of live-action comedy. The project for Paramount Plus was announced during the Star Trek Universe panel at Comic-Con by moderator Justin Simeon and Tawny Newsome, voice actors for Star Trek Lower Decks. The two are co-writing the half-hour comedy with the steward of the Star Trek franchise, Alex Kurtzman, who will be making his half-hour writing debut. No title or format, single camera or multi-camera, has been revealed for the comedy, in which Federation outsiders serving a gleaming resort planet find out their day-to-day exploits are being broadcast to the entire quadrant. So, kind of sounds like a Star Trek equivalent to The Office, which could be interesting to see. I like that the Star Trek world is basically branching out into other forms here. You've had your animated series, you've had your anthologies, you've had your obvious serious ones, but so really it could go either way. So I'm really interested to see where they go from there. So that's something that definitely want to keep. Is definitely something that'll be very interesting, assuming it actually gets made, because they could be talking about this stuff and then it never gets made. It's just something like that. They just never mentioned it again. But other than that, though, that was pretty much the big Star Trek stories in general. There wasn't anything about the Simon Kinberg produced Star Trek movie that's apparently in the works, but that's still very much early in development. So yeah, so that's what's going on with Star Trek. Let's step away from Comic-Con for just a second here to talk about some stories that we talked about before. We have some updates on these particular stories that I'm about to mention here from last week. Let's go ahead and get to the NBA, which had a massive update this week. So it's been a very interesting week for Warner Brothers. The NBA essentially put the final details down on the deals they had set with Disney, Universal, and Amazon, and Warner Brothers had 5 days to essentially match the offer that that would have allowed them to keep some of the NBA rights, but they sent it in, and the NBA said, "Sorry, we're not doing that." And sure enough, the NBA and Warner Brothers are taking it to court. This is a story from Awful Announcing, which has been reported everywhere. On Thursday, Warner Brothers Discovery filed a lawsuit against the NBA regarding its recently completed media rights negotiations, which left the media conglomerate on the outside looking in favor of deals with Disney, Comcast, and Amazon. CNBC's David Faber first reported on Thursday that the lawsuit was expected to be filed, with sports legal analyst attorney Daniel Wallach sharing a copy of the sealed lawsuit on social media Friday. And then they show his Twitter feed, where it shows the case in court. And after news of the lawsuit was first made public, TNT Sports released the following statement. Giving the NBA's unjustified reaction of our matching of a third-party offer, we have taken legal action to enforce our rights. We strongly believe that this is not just our contractual right, but also in the best interest of fans who want to keep watching our industry-leading NBA content with the choice and flexibility we offer through our widely distributed Warner Brothers Discovery video-first distribution platforms, including TNT and Max. NBA spokesperson Mike Bass issued the following statement. Warner Brothers Discovery's claims are without merit, and our lawyers will address them. While the sealed nature of the lawsuit means that we won't be learning much about the complaint, at least not immediately from the suit itself, it almost certainly centers on the interpretation of the matching rights Warner Brothers Discovery received in its most recent media rights deal with the NBA, which was signed in 2014. After the NBA reached agreements with Disney, Comcast, and Amazon on its new rights deal, WBD exercised its matching rights on Amazon's portion of the package, while the NBA declined to accept the match. According to Puck John Orland, WBD had argued that its matching rights applied to Amazon's portion of the package because the e-commerce giant was set to receive assets it had previously held, such as the conference finals and Thursday night primetime games. The NBA, meanwhile, countered that its deal with Amazon is a streaming-only package and that Prime Video's reach far exceeds WBD's Max streaming service. There's also the matter of Amazon's deal including a poison pill, which the league arguing that the line of credit WBD secured for the match isn't equal to the value of Amazon's upfront guarantees. Those are the arguments that will likely now be litigated, and will be interesting to see what the courts decide, or more likely what a potential settlement between the two studios sides look like. While WBD filing a lawsuit had been expected dating back to May, when it first became apparent that the media company would be left out of the league's next deal, this adds yet another chapter to what has already been a wild negotiation between the NBA and its longest-running media partner. Bottom line of this whole thing is that David Zaslav is just doing whatever it takes to save his ass at this point, because he begged long and hard to keep we're going to keep the NBA. We're going to keep the NBA. We're not losing the NBA shape or form. I mean, this is quite literally the last thing he's got left before people have to start questioning his ethics as the head of a company, which at this point, what else does this guy need to do to get fired? I mean, yeah, he's going to do whatever it takes to essentially keep his job afloat. But after everything that this guy has done, canceling projects that were already done, writing him off his tax write-offs, canceling TV shows, suing Paramount because he doesn't get all the South Park money. Even though they have the rights to the TV show on their streaming service, they want all the rights. They want all the new episodes. They want all the movies that they're doing at Paramount Plus. You know, The Flash, the whole debacle there, Horizon. You know, everything that this company has done under David Zaslav has been absolutely horrible. And this felt like the last hope for him to keep his job afloat. And now at this point, it's I cannot believe that this guy still has a job after all these years. Yeah, Warner Brothers has had some success the last couple of years with Barbie, Dune Part 2, and just recently Twisters, but come on, man. Like someone at that studio needs to wake the fuck up and tell this guy to get the hell out of there, because this guy is going to destroy this company before it's all said and done with, because he has no intention on making Warner Brothers. No, you know what he wants to do? He wants to turn it into the Discovery Channel. He doesn't and he ran that company down to the ground too. And this guy is just such a it's incredible how badly this whole thing is, and the fact that he still has a job at this point is amazing. The Los Angeles Times actually did a story about this, which unfortunately I can't read the whole thing on, but let me see if I can find a version of it from somewhere else. I can't find anything, but you can just see already the impact that this whole thing is having on this. Like the stocks have gone down. You know, you're gonna lose one of the and he made the biggest blunder of all by literally telling the NBA, we don't need you guys, and they're about to put that to the test. I found a story here back on Awful announcing. As a website that covers sports media, we know that any mention of a C-suite executive typically requires some sort of descriptor. They talk about the people at ESPN and Fox Sports. There are, of course, some exceptions to the rule, and David Zaslav is clearly one of them. Even if you're loosely following the NBA's media rights negotiations over the past couple of months, you're likely more than familiar with Zaslav, the CEO and president of Warner Brothers Discovery, or perhaps more accurately at this point, he's the man who's lost WBD's most valuable property, the NBA. How long ago was the story posted? July 25th. So, July 25th was Thursday. While that's not necessarily a done deal, the writing is on the wall. Even if WBD emerges victorious in a potential legal battle or leverage that threads into the sliver of the league's rights deal, or most likely a payoff, the reality is that Zaslav's leadership has put the NBA in a position where it's more than comfortable walking away from its longest media rights partner. In fact, it seems to be the NFL's preference. Ultimately, there are billion-dollar decisions, and there will be plenty of blame to go around, and if and when WBD officially loses the NBA for good. But like Don Draper famously said, that's what the money is for. And when it comes to WBD's efforts to keep the NBA on its airwaves, Zaslav's falls goes further than the responsibilities associated with his job title. Then again, Zaslav is perfectly fine with the way this all played out. As I said before, we don't have to have the NBA. Even at the time, many viewers quoted it as a thinly veiled negotiating tactic, which it was. It also proved to be the quote that will define not only Zaslav's tenure at WBD, but his career as a media expert. As it becomes increasingly clear that WBD would be on the outside looking in on the NBA rights deal, many, including Charles Barkley, were quick to point to Zaslav's infamous comment regarding his company's relationship with the league. And while it's unlikely that the comment was a sticking point in the failed negotiations, it almost certainly didn't help, and seemingly served as a challenge for the NBA to consider all of its options. Not only did the NBA do just that, but WBD apparently helped the league find one of the partners who replaced it. It was WBD that first suggested the NBA get Amazon involved in the negotiations, according to The Athletic, a move that helped grease the wheels for the league to end its 35-year presence on TNT. So think about that for a second. Warner Brothers is the one that said, "Hey guys, go to Amazon, see what they can do there," and now they're just like, "Oh shit!" And now Warner Brothers is like, "Oh shit, we were just kidding." Like, now they ain't no kidding around at this point here. Like everything that could go wrong with this whole thing really has gone wrong for them. I mean, this is just absolutely. If this isn't the thing that gets this dude fired, then nothing ever will. This guy could literally say, "I'm a pedophile," and in fact, I'm going to show you how much I'm a pedophile because I'm going to go ahead and with this kid right in front of me. Like, even if he does that, like this guy thinks he's unstoppable. Like, he thinks he's Donald Trump. Trump and thinks he's unstoppable, when in actuality, he's not unstoppable. Neither one of those guys are. Like, you make stupid mistakes, you get stupid prizes. And what David Zaslav is doing right now is making stupid mistakes, and guess what? Time to grab your stupid prizes. And I'm hoping I hope he wastes more money on this garbage here, on this garbage lawsuit, because he's gonna lose it. And yeah, Warner Brothers, I mean, somebody at Warner Brothers really just needs to get him the hell out of there and start from scratch, because at this point, as long as this guy is still with the company, this thing's going to get destroyed by the time they finally let him go. It's going to be sold off to another studio, and yeah, it's just what a complete fuck up on the part of David Zaslav to do all of this. And this has just been his rapport ever since he got there. Batgirl, Scoob, Holiday Hunt, Coyote vs. Acme, all written off because of tax write-offs. He'd rather sell those off instead of actually releasing the movies and actually seeing if they'll make money. They should, because you cannot tell me The Flash is better than Batgirl. I refuse to believe that, because The Flash is a piece of garbage, and Batgirl probably could have been bad too, but you know what? It still would have been better than what that garbage Flash movie you were trying to pawn off of us. You know, just, you can tell I have a lot of anger towards David Zaslav, and I just want this guy fired. I want him to never have a job like this ever again. Like, just, I need some positivity here. So how about we move to the next thing I want to delve into.
Everybody's looking to get paid. Everybody's trying to get paid. And those people at TNT are incredibly talented. Incredibly talented. And if you are Amazon, if you are ESPN ABC, if you are NBC and what have you, look at them. There's a lot of talent to pluck from that tree. They know what they're doing over there. Fair enough. But the gloom and doom and all of this other stuff, and because of money, so is Shaq. So is Ernie and Jenny, not in anybody's pocket, and certainly not questioning that you deserve it. Tell my boys, I love you. You know that. And you deserve it. But none of us are doing this for free. Hell, I own and operate this YouTube channel. I ain't doing it for free. Everybody looking to get paid.
That was Stephen A. Smith talking about the NBA on TNT, which I was looking at my Twitter and I found that there, and I figured, oh, we'll play a little bit there, why not? But he does bring up the point I want to bring up here after all this, because, you know, the NBA on TNT, not only is that going away, but inside the NBA, it's not only their bread and butter, but the most well-known sports pregame show of them all. I mean, those guys, Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, they are just some of the greatest moments in sports TV history comes from inside the NBA, because that group is very talented. They just have this great camaraderie together. And if I'm ESPN, Amazon, or NBC, I'm literally getting a dump truck full of money and convincing these guys to go do what they do at TNT over at one of their new stations. I don't care who does it, but it's just got to get done, man. And just, if you've never seen Inside the NBA, you are missing out on some of the funniest, not only great sports commentary, but funny comedy all the way through. And just for a couple examples, I want to show off some of the best moments from Inside the NBA, because, man, Inside the NBA is an absolute incredible show. And let's see if I can find some of the greatest rants of them all, like some of the greatest moments. And I think I can't really think of the greatest moments of all without thinking of Charles Barkley's legendary rant on the Phoenix Suns from back in 2016, which the rant is one thing, but the whole story that they have here is just pitch perfect stuff. I'll let you listen to it now.
Everybody want to blame coaches in this league, and sometimes it's just players and bad general managers who get to fire several coaches before they realize that the general manager is the problem.
James Harden a bit mystified by that move, but everybody on the bench comes in.
That's the guy. That's my sleeper in the three-point.
Yeah, Devin Booker.
Tell you what, boy, Kevin Johnson rolled on his grave watching his sons play.
Now, they're just giving highlights right now, but I'm trying to think about. I'm trying to find where the real rants begin. And I think it starts about around the 1 minute mark here. But Charles Barkley just goes all in on this. Keep in mind, Charles Barkley was a Phoenix Sun back in the day, and yeah, I think he's more than deserved to bash on these guys after what they were doing back then.
NBA team. Oh my goodness! Oh my gosh! And the rant goes on. And look at Trevor Ariza.
Look at them empty seats, man. The best fans in the world get to watch this trash.
77.
Now the guys are trash. Come on.
They got a bunch of injuries. Their top 3 scorers all out.
And Ernie Johnson's just trying his hardest to just keep it together, man. Just just keep it together, man. Like, they have a bunch of injuries. It's just like they were already. And then I think actually Charles actually had a nice retort to that.
Top 3 scorers all out.
They were no good when they had them.
They were no good when they had them. And it just keeps going.
Hey, Chuck, how's the popcorn in the arena?
There's a lot of
popcorn. Come on.
But look what the Suns do. They come back with a 10-0 run.
Oh, they came back, Chuck.
Take the
That's a hot dog, Chuck. That's a hot dog. They got that little hard bun. Oh, the soul's flat.
Oh, man, it's terrible out there.
It's awful.
Oh, man.
The beer is flat, Kenny.
Oh, no.
Houston winds up with a 20-10 run.
Oh, my goodness. So why did you get all excited when they made that run? You know they're going to lose. I've seen this movie.
Just reporting the facts. What about the pretzels, Chuck?
Oh, the pretzels are hard as a rock. You can take a picture.
And what about the nachos?
Oh, my God. The cheese.
Shaq's just egging them on.
It's that bad in Phoenix. Oh, no, I can't. I got to go to a game just to see it.
They're burning down that Phoenix bridge.
And Phoenix was 14-37 up to that point. Lost 21 of the last 23 games.
You won't have to worry about that anymore.
I want to go watch that.
111.
Oh, man.
Houston a winner.
Say about the nacho
Over the
cheese.
Phoenix Suns.
Old cheese shack. And the chips are stale.
Come on, man.
Phoenix turning it over 24
What about the
times.
seats and the cushions on the seat when you sit down?
Oh, man, those chips, they're dirty seats.
Like, man, if Charles Barkley really is going to retire after this season, we are going to miss one of the greatest entertainers on television, man, because, my God, like, his roast on that show are just pitch perfect. And, like you heard what he said, like, it's like, and Kenny Smith's just asking, what about the seats and the cushions? And Charles Barkley's just like, oh man, like he wanted to say I thought he wanted to say those chicks at first, and he's just like, those chicks, the dirty seats. Like, I just love it, man.
The seat when you sit down.
Oh, man, those chicks, they're dirty seats.
Got the people in the back laughing.
Are we really going to continue?
And again, Ernie Johnson's just trying to keep it so professional. Like, even he at this point is just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going along for the ride.
It ain't that bad in Phoenix, is it? It's not bad.
How about the parking over there, Chuck?
He follows it up with, how about the parking there?
You know, it's women parking.
There's a good thing.
Yeah. You can park right next to the arena. Hey, you can buy one of them seats up the top and move right down by center court.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this show, man. Those guys just have so much great chemistry together. And there's a capper at the end of this, which I got to the very end of this, but there's a capper to this whole thing.
Even by your standards, that was one for the ages.
I don't understand that, but I understand what you're coming to
Just there.
What about the cheerleaders?
Oh, they ugly now.
So what happens is that I think I can't tell if it was Shaq or Kenny saying this, but one of them says, what about the cheerleaders? And Charles Barkley goes, oh, they're ugly. And then that's the point where Kenny is just like, okay, I'm out of here. Like, he's literally walking away from the set.
Be good looking. How the cheerleaders.
I gotta leave the set, man.
But There are so many great, memorable moments from the show that, we'll be here all night. We'll be here all night if I can go through every single one of them. But I want to go to another one. The moment that I remember, my first real introduction to Inside the NBA was very late on, and it was my introduction to my reintroduction to Kevin Hart. It was during it's either the 2013 or 2014 NBA All-Star game. Let me see if I can find it. It is from 2013, and this is when I realized that, hey, this Kevin Hart guy actually is really, really funny, man.
Kevin Hart here. How you doing?
Ernie, you don't look happy, man.
Ernie, Chris, Shaq, how you doing?
We're doing great.
I got two people I'm not going to speak to.
Wait, I'm in it too?
No. You daggone right you in it, man.
What happened?
Look, you don't think the Twitterverse talks? Huh? You don't think Twitter talks? Everybody tell me what y'all was saying about me. What are these for?
Oh, that's a sit-on.
Don't come here without...
With your chest.
Wait a minute. You had somebody bringing a prop.
They said gave Kevin Hart a pad of printer paper because he's so small, and it just keeps going, man. It's just them clowning on each other for the majority of this. There's still highlights going on, but it's mostly just them clowning on each other. I'm trying to find let me see if I can find the Vaseline part. The Vaseline part is absolutely hilarious. Let me see if I can find it here. Where is it? I know it's in this one. Here it is. I found it.
And the reason I did that because I didn't want people like you talking about my greasy lips. You gotta be nasty.
No. That's a different level of disgusting.
Like they're showing an old clip from the old Inside the NBA where I guess Magic Johnson was one of the guys there, and you see Charles Barkley lifting up his shirt and there's Vaseline on his belly button.
Vaseline in your belly button.
Oh no! Wait, I'm sorry. That was edited in there. It's because I didn't know. It's been 10 years since that clip there. I just noticed it now that was edited in. But he did open it up and his belly button was right there. But you see the thing. You see somebody put placed the Vaseline thing on there, and they just covered it up with a computer and all that. But still really funny. It's still really funny to see that.
Hey, I keep these big lips moist.
It looks like a bottomless pit.
Even in serious moments, they found a way to make this hilarious. There's a whole thing where there was a police presence at one of the games. This was back when Rose Gold Unwoo was still there at TNT. But there was a whole thing where the Rockets and Clippers, I guess there was some kind of drama that happened, and they said had a police presence there, and Shaq and Barkley just couldn't stop laughing during the whole thing.
Well, Roz Gold would working the sidelines for us in that game. So we're hearing all this stuff, RGO, about okay, these guys trying to get in their locker room and they go through the back door and everything. So what are you hearing? What happened? Did anybody actually confront anybody with all these attempts to do that after the game?
Well, it was an emotional, chippy game, and it did spill over into the hallways. At the moment, right now, I'm in the Rockets locker room. The team is gone. They've all headed to the bus. Actually, outside of their team bus, there is a police presence just to make sure that nothing else develops or escalates.
So I guess something happened between the Rockets and Clippers. I can't remember for certain. I guess it was just an interaction between the teams themselves where they had to actually call the police. And it's a serious... It sounds serious at first, and then that moment when it's about a minute in where Rose is talking about rallying Chris Paul, and that's when the whole thing started to break down and Shaq and Charles just couldn't stop laughing at the whole thing.
Said yes, this was very much a rallying around Chris Paul. They have each other's back. He said this team is very together, and they're always going to respond that way. And his other response, the way he closed it, was interesting. He said, we're going to see this team 2 more times. We will remember this. So this feeling, this tension between the two teams will continue on across games.
So you listen to that. One of them broke. One of them couldn't keep it in much longer. And I like how it's, during the thing you think that they're laughing about they're laughing at her. Some people might think they're laughing at her, but then I think Ernie's the one that says, we're not laughing at you, we're laughing at the situation in general here.
Ross Gold on Woody, thank you very much.
They're not laughing at you.
That's Kenny that says that. They're laughing at the incident.
I played in the NBA for 16 years, and I've been on TV for 18 years. This is the first time I ever heard police presence. Wait. They got a police presence? Are you kidding me? Wait, come on, man.
Numerous social media reports that LAPD was called.
LAPD was called. These two, man. Come on, man. Nobody laughing. Come on, man. Because
Shaq, he just can't hold it anymore. And of course, Shaq should know. I mean, Shaq is a former police officer. I think he was a former police officer in Florida. I guess he was. I don't know if he's still registered or not. I'm kind of curious now. Let me see. Yeah, he's still very much an officer. He was an officer at Dora, Florida's police force, and he was sworn as the sheriff's deputy in Jonesboro, Georgia. So he's still technically in law enforcement too. I always find that kind of interesting that nobody really ever notices that he is still part of the police force. Is in some parts of the country.
Man, they would relish. Come on, for a guy to come in after them.
That's another great thing about what the Inside the NBA guys do is that they take like memes from online, like they're showing Shaq and Charles just like. There's this video out there where these two guys are on this debate show, and they have like the round table around them, the moderators in the middle, and they're so heated into the debate that they just start destroying the table, and the table gets completely destroyed, and they've got Shaq on one side and Charles on the other.
Hello, police. Chris Paul trying to beat me up.
Chris Paul tried to beat me up.
This is Blake Griffin. Chris Paul trying to get in the locker room. Get down here and save me. Hey, this dude only trying to get in the locker room. I certainly...
Like, I don't know how fast they put those memes together, but they put that together real fast. But it's funny stuff, man. And I could go on to more and more great Inside the NBA moments, but honestly, like I said, we'd be here all night long. But I'll just say it, man. It's going to suck not seeing them on TNT anymore, but this isn't going to be the last time we'll see them together. I'm guaranteeing that somebody at ESPN or NBC or Amazon is going to literally drive a dump trunk full of money to get these guys to come over to their networks. And I hope they're allowed to keep that show together at another network. I would think NBC probably be the best place for them to go. But we'll see what happens. But like I said, you can find a lot of the great Inside the NBA moments. I'm sure we're going to get to more of them as time goes on, as we get closer and closer to the inevitable end of the NBA on TNT, which after over 40 years, this thing's going to go away pretty soon. And it's sad to hear that, but sadly, that's just the way the world works sometimes. So that's an update on that. So that's from TNT's point of view. Let's go ahead and talk about the full details of these contracts in particular. So as I mentioned, the deals finally got officially passed this week. So the deals are in place. And so we got kind of a full rundown of how this is going to work out. We've kind of already discussed it beforehand, but just to kind of give you kind of a recap of what we have here. I have the Hollywood Reporter story here. The NBA has finalized its new long-term TV deals with ESPN and the Walt Disney Company, NBC Sports and NBC Universal, and Amazon Prime Video set to be the new home for NBA games nationally, beginning in 2025 and running into 2036. Disney will remain the NBA's partner for the A package, including the NBA Finals, with the deal source estimated at around $2.6 billion per year. The NBA also found new rights partners in the form of NBC Sports, which is in line to get the B package for around $2.5 billion per year, and Amazon for the C package at around $1.8 billion per year. NBC Commissioner Adam Silver said, "Our new global media agreements with Disney, NBC, Universal, and Amazon will maximize the reach and accessibility of NBA games for fans in the United States and around the world. These partners will distribute our content across a wide range of platforms and help transform the fan experience over the next decade. The new deal will see ABC and ESPN televise more than 80 regular season games as well as 18 playoff games. ABC will also be the exclusive home of the NBA Finals. ESPN has also secured the right to stream all of its NBA games on its upcoming flagship streaming service next year, and will be able to stream select NBA games in international markets on Disney+. Disney says that it will add more studio programming and is partnering with the NBA to create custom content in partnership with Marvel Studios, when the NBA also getting a dedicated presence at Walt Disney World, even though the NBA Experience shut down there a couple years ago. NBC's deal includes 100 national regular season games split between NBC and Peacock, a slew of postseason games in the NBA's All-Star Game. NBCU's deal includes NBC, Peacock, Telemundo, and Sky. NBC will also get USA basketball games in the lead up to the Olympics and will bring back the iconic Round Ball Rock theme music scored by John Tesh. Amazon's Prime Video deal includes 66 regular season games, a number of postseason games, a Black Friday NBA game, which will be complemented in Black Friday NFL games. Prime Video has also secured all the games for the knockout rounds of the Emirates NBA Cup, including the in-season tournament semifinals and finals, and exclusive coverage of every game in the postseason SoFi NBA Play-In tournament. The news from the league they're talking about Warner Brothers Discovery. There was someone else here that put like a list of what exactly each company is going to get in this new deal. Let me see if I can find it for you. Okay, I found it. This was tweeted out from Joe Pompliano, who is an investor at Pop Investments, and he found this thing right here for a visual example of who gets what in the NBA's media rights deal. So they have like a chart here for like Walt Disney, NBC, and Prime Video. And so as it goes, Disney gets 80 regular season games that'll be Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, as well as Christmas Day and the last day of the season. For the playoffs, they get 18 games in rounds 1 and 2, and 10 of the next 11 years they'll have the conference finals. And of course, they will have the NBA Finals. The extras include the draft lottery, and the Summer League. The Summer League will share with Prime Video. At NBC, they get 100 games, including a Monday game, a Tuesday game, and a Sunday game, Sunday Night Basketball, where I think they said Mike Tirico's looking like he's going to be the head guy for Sunday Night NBA whenever that happens. They'll get 28 playoff games in rounds 1 and 2, and 6 of the 11 years they'll have the conference finals. They will also have the NBA All-Star Game. Prime Video will have 66 games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They will have exclusive rights to the playoff games. They'll get a third of round 1 and 2 games, and for 6 of the 11 years they'll have the conference finals. They'll also have the in-season tournament, and they will split the Summer League with Disney. So there's essentially the list in general here, and it's from this website. Sportsball actually put this out through their Twitter feed, but it gives you kind of an idea of what exactly everybody is getting in the new deals here. So, but the big one that I'm really excited about, and I think everybody else should be really excited about, is the return of the NBA on NBC. And of course, when they made the announcement that they're getting them back, what's the first thing they ended up playing as the first major? What's the first thing they ended up playing and was on the video as soon as they put it out? Well, they deleted the video. Hold on 1 second. So they basically deleted the original video they put out on Tuesday after the announcement was made, but they did update the video, and it's essentially the same thing of what I was going to show you before. And it essentially says it's coming back, and you see it starts off with the early footage from the golden days of the NBA on NBC, and then it flashes forward to the current generation of the NBA with that great round ball rock music playing in the background. And God, it's going to be great to have that music back. It really is going to be great to have that music back, and I'm excited for this, man. I am 100% excited to see this whole thing, man. And yeah. Some of you out there might be too young to remember what the NBA on NBC meant back in the day, and I feel like it's time we had a little history lesson. See, some of you out there didn't grow up with the NBA on NBC. I was lucky enough to grow up just as that was coming on the air. I mean, this was around the time when Michael Jordan began his dominance in the 1990s. I mean, this was pretty much like the whole... I mean, and the NBA on NBC was like an event, and none more bigger than the way that they start each game off. Like, if we can get intros like this again in the future, we're going to be in for a real treat going into the fall. I just want you to take a listen and see what I'm talking about here. Hear what I'm talking about. This is the very first NBA on NBC intro, and just listen to the way that they set this whole thing up.
With James Worthy and Byron Scott, plus new additions Sam Perkins and Terry Teagle. Once again, the heart of the Lakers is last year's most valuable player, Earvin Magic Johnson. Can his new-look club reclaim its past glories?
Some of the names and some of the faces may have changed, but we're still the Los Angeles Lakers, and we should not be counted out. Whoever's going to come out the West, they don't have to come through us.
While the Lakers own the 80s, this decade may belong to Larry Brown's Spurs, who points to guard Rod Strickland, and forwards Terry Cummings and Sean Elliott. To complement the big guy, David Robinson, the Spurs have arrived. They're talented, and they are confident.
Yeah, needless to say, that wasn't really the Spurs' decade, although they would eventually win a championship down the road, several championships down the road, but that was just the first intro. But you can tell that they were building this up as a must-see event. Like, this was, you had to stop what you're doing, sit your butt down on the television, and get ready, because something magical is about to happen. And none more so than the way that it leads into the theme to the NBA on NBC. Of course, the famous Round Ball Rock.
Last year they doubted the San Antonio Spurs, but this year they know it's real.
The Lakers have brought their magic to Mr. Robinson's neighborhood.
I mean, just amazing. There are certain intros that once you hear the first note, you just can't help but start rocking out to it. American Gladiators is one of those great examples, and the NBA on NBC opening is another great example. I mean, it would be so easy to just go into the game, but no. They have to go, after they do the intro, they have to like create this magical CG opening with the NBC logo, and then go straight into the Round Ball Rock with like these highlights of different players from the day. Michael Jordan, of course, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, like, and show off the clips from specific games, show the coaches and all that. Like, that was only the first intro they ever did. As the years went on, they got more bigger, they got more extravagant. You could just tell that they were putting all their effort into this and then some.
To thank but themselves and the close scrutiny of the media. Headlines like these make this more than a game. It's personal. The Knicks squandered a two-game lead, so now the series is knotted at 2-all. Their major edge is the home court, but that may be enough. They won 27 in a row at the Garden. Will tonight be 28? Remember, Michael's back.
Of the
Eastern Conference Finals between the Chicago Bulls and the New York Knicks.
Yeah, NBC made the NBA. Someone made a good point on this comment. NBC made the NBA about more than just basketball. They made it an event, an attraction, and something that you just could not afford to miss. Plus, because this was taking place in New York, that transfer over from the opening where it says Eastern Conference Finals Game 5, Chicago versus New York, the fact that it's in the middle of Times Square, it just makes it so easy for it to pan out and just like a seamless transition, too. Like, it's a really nice transition.
Yes, the Knicks and the Bulls are the headline attraction.
Yeah, like, whenever... here's another example. When Michael Jordan came back to the league...
The word retire means you can do anything you want from this day on. So if I desire to come back and play again, maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe that's the challenge that I may need someday down the road.
And that day has arrived. Michael Jordan warming up at Market Square Arena more than 3 hours.
That was, of course, the day when Michael Jordan comes back to the NBA after a year and a half away. He retired in '93. Went on to play baseball for a little bit for the Barons, and then I think he played for, I can't remember the other team he played for, but this was when he returned, and like, this was the highlight for the NBA on NBC. I think this was the most watched game in their history. Like, I think it was like 57 million people watched this event. I mean, an event like this, like, it was just it was the literal definition of must-see TV back in the day.
Before today's scheduled tip-off. 21 months have passed since Michael Jordan last played competitive basketball. For 21 months, the NBA was without its supreme artist. There may be many interesting peripheral aspects to both his departure and return, but at the heart of it is simply this: the best in the world is back. And in a sports world darkened by constant talk of money, strikes, and lockouts.
Keep in mind, this was also around the time that the Major League Baseball was on strike too, so...
Here's a shining reminder of why we're drawn to sports in the first place. The drama, the anticipation, the sheer beauty of the moment. Today, an artist returns to his true canvas, the hardboard courts of the NBA. Michael Jordan is back.
Couldn't have said it better. I mean, that was an event back in the day. That was one of the biggest events at that point. And like I said, it was the most watched NBA on NBC event at the time, but not including the NBA Finals. But like, just the build-up for that moment is amazing. And Bob Costas and Marv Albert along the way, those are the two most distinctive voices of their time period, were there to make this seem like the much big event that it needed to be.
And listen to the roar at Market Square Arena. SRO crowd sitting in on history. Glad you folks could join us too. Hi everybody, I'm Bob Costas. What Michael Jordan does today and what he will attempt to do in the next several months and maybe years is truly unprecedented. It's never happened in team sports. Muhammad Ali, not in a team sport, regained the heavyweight championship when he came back. But in team sports, guys like Jim Brown, who left at the peak, or Sandy Koufax, whose arm wouldn't allow him to continue, they never came back. Today, Michael Jordan at age 32 tries to accomplish what no one else truly has in team sports history. I'm seated alongside the voice of the NBA on NBC, Marv Albert. Marv, you've chronicled this league for more than a quarter of a century. You've been around for all the great events, but this is truly something special.
Well, first of all, in most instances, when an athlete attempts to make a comeback, usually they are past their prime. People like, as you mentioned, Muhammad Ali, who was able to come back, Sugar Ray Leonard, Gordie Howe in the National Hockey League, and Bob Cousy. Although Cousy was 41 years of age, so there's been no measuring stick. And when you consider the demands of a sport like NBA basketball, it is truly remarkable what Michael Jordan is attempting to do.
Well, knowing Michael...
And the video comes to an end there. Well, that year in particular, they did make the playoffs, but they didn't win another finals that season. But of course, we all know what happened after that. Another three-peat, 73 and I think it was 73 and 9 in 1996 for the Chicago Bulls. They were like one of the greatest teams in the history of basketball. Was it 95 or 96? It was 95. Okay, 95, 96, 72 and 10. And of course, like I said, they went on to 3 more championships. Jordan went on to went on to another three-peat, and then eventually retired. Again, we thought for good in '99, but of course he came back later on down the road. Even in his last year with the Last Dance year, they found a way to hype the hell out of everything. Like the last regular season game of his career at the United Center when he played the Knicks in '98.
Winning another title, the world's most renowned athlete has one goal: to keep his team together. A team that has won the NBA championship in the last 5 full seasons in which Michael Jordan has played. A team that has become one of the greatest dynasties in the history of sports. But the future of the Bulls remains uncertain, which is why every remaining Bulls game is something to savor. Tonight, Michael Jordan plays in what could be his final regular season game, and he plays it against the New York Knicks, an opponent Jordan has tortured over the years, a team that barely avoided a first-round date with Chicago, and so a team that could be facing Michael Jordan for the last time tonight. The Knicks and the Bulls next.
Is the NBA on NBC. Tonight, the New York Knicks versus the Chicago Bulls.
So yeah, like, again, there's a lot, like with the Inside the NBA, there's a lot of stuff I could show you from this particular era of television, but we'd be here all day long if I did that. But my point in bringing this whole thing up, is simply this: if the new NBA on NBC can be just as exciting and just as engaging and just as intense, like hype these up as big must-see TV events, if they can do that with guys like Mike Tirico and Noah Eagle, we're in for a real treat come next fall. And I, for one, cannot wait to see what the NBA on NBC in 2025 will be like. And I wanted to bring that up because if you didn't grow up back when the NBA had NBC had the NBA back in the day, you missed out on some really, really incredible stuff right there. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. Another update story from last week, this time revolving around Crowdstrike. So of course last week we had the Crowdstrike outage that basically canceled a lot of flights all over the country. Not only that, a lot of the many parts of the internet went down. Microsoft went down. Places you couldn't buy anything with credit cards. You had to use cash. So now it's damage control time for Crowdstrike. And so what's the first thing that they tried to do to essentially fix the problem here? You know, a lot of customers are really peeved off about the whole thing. So what did Crowdstrike do to say, hey, we're sorry that this happened, but we want to make it up to you. So here's what we're going to do. And what they were going to do at first is pretty friggin' hilarious. So this story comes from Engadget, and they had a story about what exactly they did. So last week's Crowdstrike outage plunged a noticeable portion of the world into a sea of blue death screens. The cybersecurity company tried to apologize with an Uber Eats gift card, but its rollouts had some troubles as well, according to a report from TechCrunch. I will repeat that. Crowdstrike, this multi-billion-dollar company, tried to apologize to its customers by giving them an Uber Eats gift card. So how much exactly did they give these people? What was the overall price for the whole thing? Like, did they get like $1,000, $100? At the very least, something like $100, $500. What was the whole thing? Crowdstrike apparently tried to send its teammates and partners a $10 Uber Eats gift card on Tuesday, The gift card was an attempt to apologize for the global situation that locked up computer screens for banks, hospitals, and airlines and more, and the additional work that the July 19th incident had caused. While some tried to use the gift cards on Uber Eats, they only saw a screen telling them that the offer had been rescinded by the issuing party. Crowdstrike told us that Uber flagged it as a fraud because of high usage rates. Crowdstrike blamed the global system outage on a bug in their update that contained problematic data. The bug forced machines running on Windows into a boot loop that caused mass delays at airports, delayed scheduled surgeries, and other operations at hospitals, and disruptions at banks, even the London Stock Exchange. There actually was a corrected update to this. The story originally claimed that Crowdstrike tried to apologize for its recent outage by sending customers an Uber Eats gift card. The company gave us the following statement. Crowdstrike did not send gift cards to customers or clients. We didn't send these to our teammates and partners who've been helping customers through the situation. Uber flagged it as fraud because of high usage rates. So, okay, maybe it's not. So maybe it was just maybe it's just the people within Crowdstrike themselves. But $10, $10 on Uber Eats doesn't. Let me just give you kind of an idea of what you can get for $10. I'm going on to Uber Eats' website right now. Give me 1 second. So let's just assume that you got one of these gift cards and you're going on to the Uber Eats website, and let's just say for the sake of argument, I want to get Wendy's. So let's go to the Wendy's website and let's see what we can get for $10. And if you look on here, there's. Well, they don't give you the prices here, so I'm going to have to check and see. Give me one second here. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you want to get, I don't know, a 10-piece Saucy Nugs combo. Let's just go ahead and see what happens when we add that to the thing. So it says you can choose your combo. You know what? Guess what the smallest combo is for a 10-piece Saucy Nugs? $12.07. The gift cards are $10. Okay, that's just the 10-piece ones. What about, let's see, what about the 4-piece ones? How much are those? 4 pieces, $8.53. So, okay, that's still under the $10 requirement. So, let's go ahead and add that onto here. I'm just going to go ahead and just fill this out randomly here. It's not really going to matter because I'm not ordering this, but, so let's. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and put my information in here, but, okay, so let's summarize what we got here. We got a 4-piece Saucy Nugs combo. We got 4-piece honey barbecue nuggets. I didn't get sauce. Small natural cut fries and a small Dr. Pepper for $8.53. So, yeah, we are currently in the range for the $10 gift card. Let's add delivery fees to it. $2.49, a little bit over. So we are about over where we're at here. Let me go ahead and bring the calculator up here so we can do this right. So let's see, $8.53. The delivery fee is $2.49. It's $11.02. Okay, that's not a big deal. But wait a minute, we're not done just yet because we got to add in taxes and other fees. So that comes down to another $4.27. So we're up to $15.29. So we're already $5 over the limit. But, okay, $15. So it's still about the same price of about $5 after the gift card. Not so fast. We still got to add in the tip. So let's say we add in, they give you an option between between $2 and $5 for the tip. So let's just say $5. It's $20.29. You take the $10 gift card, you're still paying more than what the gift card is supposed to give you. I think the point I'm trying to get across here is that you cannot buy anything on Uber Eats for just $10. I mean, good Lord, man. Like, even for the people that, even if this wasn't sent to their customers, they sent the people that they know that work with them just a $10 gift card. Like, you know what this is like? This is like the equivalent of that episode of South Park when Canada goes on strike and they want more money, and they've had this strike go on for so long, and it's getting to the point where, you know, people are literally dying, and they think that they're finally going to get America to crack up, these countries to crack on them, and then all of us, and then when they get the phone call, it's the people from the it's the people that they're negotiating with going like, hey, listen, when you guys finally kill off each other, can we use your place to be for like an amusement park or something? And that's the point when the Canadian negotiators just finally just lost it and just like cries out. And then Kyle was there because the episode was them trying to create a video so they could save it, so they can give Canada what they want, so Terrence and Phillip can come back on. And Kyle's talking to them, and they're just like, listen, can you just give this guy something so we'll end the strike already? And the guys are just like, well, we could give him a consolation prize. And Kyle's just like, if they give you a consolation prize, will you go ahead and end the strike? And the Canadian negotiators just like, well, but the Canadian negotiator is just like, if they give can they make it seem like it's much bigger than we expect? And Kyle's just telling the same thing, and the guys are just like, sure, why not? What's the big thing that they will get? What's the consolation prize? The equivalent is what Crowdstrike basically has given its clients is the equivalent of bubblegum and a coupon for a free dinner at Bennigan's, with the purchase of a dinner of equal value. We have won! When really, no, you haven't won. And you can't, like I said before, you can't buy enough from Uber Eats for just $10 after the taxes, the tips, the delivery fees, the shipping, or it was the shipping, I think. But that's the point I'm trying to get across here. It's just like, this whole thing is so ridiculous that they tried to make you think that they were being the nice guys. They were being like, oh, look at what we did. We gave them $10 in gift card. Is a $10 gift card for Uber Eats, but you can't buy anything for just $10. You're basically telling them like, yeah, you don't have to pay $10, but you still got to pay another $10 to get the thing. So 2 and 2 don't add up here, and like, I just found that really hilarious that they actually thought that they were going to get away with that per se. But that was not the only stupid story to come out of the world this week. Here's another stupid story. So right now, we're getting close to the start of the new NFL season, and that means the NFL Network is putting out its top 100 players of 2024 list. And it didn't take until the very first night of this top 100 list to realize that, yeah, this list is complete bullshit. It really is, because let's take a look at the very first 10 names that they have on the list. Specifically, the first 8 names. You have people like, from 100 to 93, you have Zaire Franklin from the Indianapolis Colts, Levante David from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Cam Haywood from the Steelers, Terry McLaurin from the Washington Commanders, Deion Dawkins from the Buffalo Bills, Julian Love from the Seattle Seahawks, Trevor Lawrence from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Harrison Smith from the Minnesota Vikings. And then we get to number 92. Guess who's the number 92 player of the top 100 list? Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, remember when Aaron Rodgers had that incredible season starting in 2024, and he just played he had this great, incredible year that apparently he had 4 great plays where he was good enough to make the top 10 to the top 100 list. 4 plays in the first game of the season. 4 plays. And evidently that's enough to get you on this top 100 list. Not for the fact that you even played those games, but because he's Aaron Rodgers. And of course, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't make the top 100 list, then what does this list really mean to us? Yeah, I'll tell you what this list means to you. It means absolutely nothing. Because really you're doing it because you're only doing this with this one move. You have made this list completely null and void, because let's go back to that list again of players that I talked about before. Let's see, where is it? Where's that? Look at this list again. I want you to look at the players that I want you to listen to the players that are on this list. Zaire Franklin played a full. Let's see, he played a full season. Got paid for it. Levante David. Levante David. Wait a second here. Played a full season. Cam Haywood. Missed a couple of games after getting injured in the missed about half the season because he got injured in the first game of the season, but still made the list at 98. So he eventually won the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award. Terry McLaurin played all season. Deion Dawkins played a full season. Julian Love played a full season. Trevor Lawrence played a full season. Harrison Smith played a full season. Most of these guys played a full season. How the hell does Aaron Rodgers get on this list at number 92? It just does not make any sense whatsoever how a guy that only plays 4 plays in the first game of the regular season. It just goes to show you that this list here is not as credible as you think it is. Like, well, yeah, it's supposed to be a list made by the players, the whole thing. It's like when they get to the top 20, they usually reveal the names that didn't make the list in general. I guarantee you that the names that just missed the top 100 could have easily been in that spot that Aaron Rodgers was in. This really should not be that big of a deal, but I'm sorry. It just goes to show how much the NFL does not really care about the actual game itself, but cares about the name on the freaking jersey, or whoever's making them the most money. And in fact, it would not surprise me if Taylor Swift somehow makes the NFL Top 100 list. She's never played on the field, but she's done so much for the league in this past year that I wouldn't be surprised if they found a way to put her on the list at some point, because that's just how this list apparently feels like. It just does not feel like a thing where this whole thing does not feel like a list that actually is legitimate. And yeah, keep making the argument that it's the players that are putting the list together, but at the same time, this really is not a legitimate list by any means necessary, because at that point it's just at that point you're not even mentioning that you're not even honoring the best players of the year. There are so many other players that probably could have filled that one spot there, and yet they decided not to do that. I was actually looking for the list of the past top 100 lists to see if there was any other lists that were very similar to this, where they have a player that didn't play much in the regular season and still made it on there. And no, this is the first time this has happened, and you could just tell that they put this name on the list because it's Aaron Rodgers. If they done this list in 2008 when Tom Brady got injured in the first game of the season, I guarantee you they'd find a way to put him on the list at that point, because heaven forbid if we have one player who gets knocked out for the majority of the season not make this list here. I mean, this is just, it feels like I've been bad-mouthing Aaron Rodgers in the last couple of years, but he's done and said some stuff that I just don't agree with, and the last year or so, the fact that he really didn't do a whole lot to get ready to play for the Jets last season. He's doing a lot more this year, of course, because now he doesn't have that full year ahead of them. So now we'll finally get to see what Aaron Rodgers as a New York Jet will be like. I don't think it's going to be anything too spectacular, but it's got to be something more than just 4 plays. And this just I just couldn't believe it when he actually made the list at number 92 for 4 plays, and he didn't even do that much in 4 plays that season. I mean, it's baffling. It's really, really baffling. And speaking of baffling things, the internet continues to impress me for how stupid it is sometimes, because this is definitely the case with our next story. Getting back to Comic-Con here, we have a story that happened on Friday during the Spongebob panel, and it was announced that Mark Hamill will be voicing the Flying Dutchman in the upcoming Spongebob movie, The Search for SquarePants. This is from Deadline Hollywood. The announcement was made during Thursday's Comic-Con presentation. Okay, Thursday, not Friday, in San Diego, celebrating the franchise. Voice actors Tom Kenny, Bill Fagabach, Caroline Lawrence, Rocket Bumpus, Clancy Brown, and Mr. Lawrence took to the stage to participate in a live table read for the beloved pilot Help Wanted. The latest film will be out in 2025. The panel, moderated by Kel Mitchell from Good Burger, who appeared in character as Ed, also included the executive producers Mark Cesarelli and Vincent Waller. So, okay, this isn't really that big of a story in general. Mark Hamill is going to play the Flying Dutchman. It was played for a number of years by Brian Doyle Murray, and I don't know if he didn't want to do it, or they didn't ask him about it, but this really should not be as big of a story as people made it out to be. But as soon as they made this announcement, if you went on social media that day, you could not believe the people that you couldn't believe how people just all of a sudden decided to just lose their shit over it. A lot of people said that a lot of people hated the fact that they didn't get Brian Doyle Murray back. They hated the fact that they said that, oh, why'd they go with a celebrity name? Why'd they go with Mark Hamill? Why didn't they go with Brian Doyle Murray again? Like the typical Hollywood move, typical animated movie move. There's reasons why I really do feel like I should get off of Twitter, because some people, a lot of people on Twitter I know that I follow are very smart people. They are people that I agree with most of the time, but then there's just those moves that just make me go like, yeah, this is the reason why I feel like I need to get off of Twitter. That, and also the fact that Twitter likes to screw me over and log me out of my site for my account for no particular reason. This has actually happened four times out of the last 6 weeks, but that's another subject altogether. But this whole thing with Mark Hamill becoming the Flying Dutchman should not be a big deal at all, because first of all, Mark Hamill is been known as a seasoned voice actor. Do these people forget that this guy was the Joker in Batman the Animated Series? Do they forget that he's done a lot of animated voice work? I mean, he's Muscle Man on regular show. Is it Muscle Man or it's not Muscle? It's either Muscle Man or Skips. Because no, is it Skips? Now I don't remember, but Skips is what it is. Okay, Muscle Man is not Mark Hamill at all. But he's been the voice of Skips on regular show. He was in Wing Commander. Like, he's been in all these things. He's done a lot of voice work over the years. Like, he's the Hanukkah zombie in Futurama. Like, he's going to be in the Wild Robot movie coming up. He was Chucky in the recent Child's Play movie. He's done a lot of voice work on television. Like I said, the Joker. He was on Garfield and Friends for a couple of episodes. He was the Hobgoblin on Spider-Man. He was on Casper, the animated Casper series. He was on Hey Arnold, Pinky and the Brain. Johnny Bravo. He did a lot of various voice work on a number of different shows. He was Buzz Buzzard on Woody Woodpecker, for God's sakes. I mean, this is a guy that has evolved from being just Luke Skywalker and has turned into a really great voice actor that should be up there with some of the great voice actors that we have out there. Tom Kenny, Tara Strong, Kath Soucie, Frank Welker, Kevin Richardson. Like, he's in that lexicon for sure. And yet people still want to think that this is he's just another big name star. Now, if they wanted to get a big name star for this movie, they could have gotten somebody else. They probably would have gotten somebody like a Hugh Jackman or a Ryan Reynolds, somebody like that. But no, they went with a guy that is a seasoned voice actor, not quite as big of a draw in terms of like as a live action actor, although we'll always remember him as Luke Skywalker, but he's been in other movies too. But everyone knows him nowadays more for his voice work rather than his stuff that he did for the Star Wars movies, pretty much. Like, it's anything outside of Star Wars. I mean, everyone will still remember as Luke Skywalker, no question about it. But the bottom line is that this story should not be as controversial as it is, and yet the internet has to find a way to do that, unfortunately, because that's just the way the world goes. And that's like every day, I really do think that selective hatred and selective favoritism is more of a reality than people let on. Because, my God, some of you people out there who complained about this really need to get over yourself. Like, for some reason, like, nobody can just have fun anymore. Nobody can just have fun with stuff that they have. Like, a lot of the stuff from Star Trek has been really good. People still complain about that. Disney under Star Wars has been mostly pretty good. People still complain about that. Now they think that SpongeBob is getting too oversaturated, and it's just like people just cannot just have fun. There's nothing wrong with anything they're doing in the SpongeBob universe right now that is really harming it in any way, shape, or form. Like, there's nothing that's offensive about it. There's nothing about it that's ridiculous or stupid. It's just like, just let people have their fun, for God's sakes. I mean, like I know, it's just, this really isn't as big of a story as it should be, but I'm sorry, I just had to, like, this is basically me just ranting about how stupid people can be with some stuff like this, and just, like, it's one of those reasons, it's just one of those things where it's just, like, you lost your mind for the stupidest reasons possible. Mark Hamill is a celebrity, yes, but he's not the big celebrity name, like a guy, like some of the biggest stars right now. He's no Glenn Powell, he's not Chris Pratt, but he doesn't have to be. He's friggin' Mark Hamill. The dude is a legend, with his most significant role being Star Wars. But he's also the Joker. He's also Skips on regular show. He's done all these great voice works over the years. This should not be as big of a story as you people make it out to be. But yeah. So enough ranting here. Let's get to the last big news story I have here, and that is about I Am Legend 2. So I Am Legend 2 is apparently still happening, and they've got a big director to come on board with it. And they revealed at a Comic-Con that Stephen Caple Jr., who did Transformers Rise of the Beast and Creed 2, currently has an interest in directing it from Warner Brothers. This is from Deadline Hollywood. There have been no deal papers drafted yet, but Warner's has met with a handful of directors, and the hope here is that a reteam between Michael B. Jordan, who will be in the sequel to I Am Legend, and his Creed 2 director, Caple Jr., I Am Legend 2, which we first told you about, were the first time Smith and Jordan have starred together on screen. So, we've talked about this beforehand. They announced this back in, I believe it was April, I think, or maybe we haven't talked about this. March, I think, was March of 2022 when it was first announced, but I feel like we've talked about it on the show before. I can't remember for certain when it was, but I'm pretty sure we've talked about it at some way, shape, or form on this channel here. But I, for one, am really looking forward to seeing this, especially if they get Caple Jr. to direct it, because look at what he did with Transformers Rise of the Beast last year. He brought that series back to enjoyability after what Michael Bay had done with it, and people bought into it. It was a big hit when it came out, and there was a lot of optimism over what they could do here with this particular film, with the sequel, which is supposedly, I think, going to continue from the alternate ending, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong on that. But either way, I'm really excited to see it. It's kind of a short story here, nothing too spectacular about it, because nothing has been made official yet, but they're circling Stephen Caple Jr. to direct I Am Legend 2, which I think is a great idea for them. So we'll see if that eventually comes to be. So I've already had a lot of stories on this show in particular, so let's go ahead and get to the recommendations for the week, and then we can go ahead and get the hell on out of here, because we've been here for a while now. Once again, it's one of those weeks where there isn't a whole lot of big new releases, because we're stuck in this kind of 2-week pattern here. But we do get the one big new release this week, The First Omen, which comes out on Blu-ray, which I've actually heard has been getting some pretty good reviews in general. So that might be one I might check out around Halloween, but nothing too significant. We do get some notable releases in the form of Ted Lasso getting a physical debut this week on Blu-ray and DVD. There's Ted Lasso: The Richmond Way, which I've only seen a couple of episodes of the show. I love it, but that's probably the big one I'm really looking forward to get my hands on, because I don't have Apple TV Plus. I usually just go for the free subscription just so I can watch Ted Lasso among other things as well. But it'll be nice to have a physical copy of Ted Lasso down the road. So that's probably my biggest thing I'm looking forward to getting this week. There's an Arrested Development documentary I've kind of got my eye on, the Arrested Development Documentary Project. We've got 4K debuts for Ali G and the House the movie. We've got Election getting a 4K release. In and Out, a brilliant Kevin Kline movie from back in the 90s, directed by Frank Oz, is getting a 4K debut this week. And there's one other one I thought I saw. Where is it? Maybe that was it. Maybe I covered all of them. But so yeah, not a big new release week in general this week in terms of physical media. But we are heading into August next week, so August is looking like it's going to start off with some promising new releases. Looking ahead to the next Tuesday, we've got. Actually, next week's not looking too good either. I'm trying to see when the next big week for new releases. August 13th looks like it's going to be pretty good. So we've got a couple of weeks of quiet time before the 13th of August, when we got Furioso and If and Bike Riders coming out on physical media. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks in terms of what I end up picking up to show in the Movie Stop episodes. But yeah, not much more to say. So with that all said, that's going to wrap this episode of the Reviewing Network Live up for the week. Thank you guys so much for watching. We post here every Sunday night and also listening as well. But if you like what you saw and you want to see more videos like this and hear more of audio like this, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button on this channel. Also subscribe to our main channel as well. Check out some of the other videos we've done. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And I will see you guys next week for another new episode. So until then, thanks for watching. And until then, like I said again, until then, for the third time, until then, we are out. Fourth time.